Thank you for listening to the Golden Hour Drip podcast with me, Logan Lee Miller. Enjoy the show. Welcome back to the Golden Hour Drip podcast. I'm your host, Logan Lee Miller, and I have my favorite little beverage right next to me. The cherry vanilla Olipop is hands down the best probiotic soda in the world. I absolutely love it. And then following the trend of the Mormon wives, I did pour like a little shot of cream in there. I find that most days I really and truly would like a second or third coffee, right? Some days I do have the second coffee and I stay up a little later than I want. And so finding like a second beverage can be really tough. I do like using the Glossy packets. They're like lemonade flavored. They're super good. And that has like collagen benefits. Or I'll do a Spindrift, which is like lighter. It's more like water. But Olipop or Poppy is more of like a soda whenever I use either of them. But I gravitate towards the Olipop because of the fiber in it. It has more fiber. So I do like it. I have my little beverage here. I'm feeling cozy. I'm feeling good. Temperatures have dropped drastically, and I know it's because of all the things that are happening in Florida, and two of my very good friends live in Florida. So I honestly, it makes me so sick to see the devastation, and just entirely, it makes my heart obviously like go out to those families, but it makes me grateful to live in a state where I don't have to worry about that, and how of a privilege that is. Like I worry about tornadoes, but not necessarily hurricanes. Like it's absolutely crazy. I feel like my social media has been like on like rabbit holes where it's like, okay, the focus is this one thing and every single video is that thing, and then like the next day will be something else. I feel like it has just been like one niche rabbit hole thing of so many things happening like in the media. And honestly, like I have had to take some time away from like my cell phone and social media, and setting those limits of not like just consuming so much, because you like just get overwhelmed, to be honest. So I've taken the weekend, the past week, of just like grounding myself and doing some of those habits, some of those routines that are really helpful for me to have the clarity, also to like calm my mind, my anxieties, any of those things. Like going for a walk. I do like to be outside, and with the temperatures dropping, I have fully been bundling up. Okay. Like I have been putting on my thicker leggings, which have like a little bit more, like fluff to them in comparison to, I have some leggings that are more like summer leggings. They're thinner. It was so funny. Actually, my dad was dropping off a vehicle at the shop, and so he needed a ride, and I picked him up, and there are a couple things from my vehicle that we needed to carry in. And as I was walking into the house, he's like, "What do you have on your back leg? It looks like," I was like, "Oh, it's probably dust," thinking because we were hauling things, it might have transferred off from my vehicle. And he's like, "No, it looks like a sticker of some sort." And I realized I had my Lululemon leggings on, and it was a Lulu branded sticker on my calf. He's like, "Oh, that's a brand?" Like it was so silly. But I used to have a pair of tennis shoes that were like winter based. They were super like thick traction on the bottom of the foot, and they were supposed to be like winter ready, but I kind of wrecked them. I used them too much. I got them like really just wore out, and so I ended up throwing them away. But like my feet have been like really cold, and I need to update my socks. So I've been wearing like these little white socks that I picked up from Marshall's, and I love them, but they are starting to get thin and wear out and also look so dirty. I don't know if it's because we've gotten this like new washer where I'm paying more attention to our clothes that we're putting in, because I noticed that they like clothes are smelling better. Like when we put them through the wash, I can actually smell my detergent, which I know some people don't think that detergent is like all that healthy for you because it's a chemical, all the things, whatever. But I personally, at this time in my life, do like the smell of the detergent and want my clothes to smell like some type of way. So I've been noticing it, and my socks have like not been cleaning up properly. Like they're starting to look so dingy, and I lost a pair of socks and I found them, and so they haven't been in the rotation for that long. They've taken a couple months off behind the washer when we moved it out, and the whiteness of those socks in comparison to the ones I've been wearing constantly are so dingy. And I also think that the warmth of it has greatly been reduced because they're thinning out. So I need to find some good socks, but I just find it so annoying to like go out and find a product to wear like some of your basics, you know. I've had these like white socks for probably 2 years now, and I love them. I think they're great. I love the texture of them. I like how tall they go up on my leg, and it's just, I don't know. It's one of those things that I know that I need to go out and purchase. I just don't necessarily have the time. And one thing with Amazon is you never know what you're going to get. And I also heard that they are updating their policy. So you could possibly have a charge if you return something, like the postage fee, or like they might reject it. So that also has me a little worried, because there's been times where I've purchased something from Amazon thinking, oh, like this is going to work. And then there were some like quality issues, or it wasn't as expected or whatever. And we have a UPS station right next to the yoga studio that is so good. Like you literally don't even have to talk to one of the workers, because I always find like, it's kind of a hassle to like bring it to them. I know it interrupts their work, and really and truly it's just like I have the barcode and things, but it's not packaged, so then they need to like put it down. But they have like this automation thing where you just like scan your little QR code, put it in a plastic bag, and then they can deal with it when they have the time, not when like customers are needing actual help with like shipping a package or getting stamps, right? Like something that they actually need a person for. This is just like a drop off situation. And so I love that I can just like stop by and drop it off. But I'm kind of nervous to be like purchasing things if it's going to get rejected. Because with department stores, you can return anything within like 15 days as long as it's not used, right? And that doesn't cost anything to return something. So I don't know. I'm a little leery, a little worried, but let's get into my peak of the week. And this is another purchase, a shipment, if you will. I received all of the bags for our Golden Gala. So we have vendors and we have individuals who are like putting a freebie or promotional or like a goodie for the goodie bags. And so I needed like the bag to put them in. And I have been searching for weeks on like what bag we're going to be using for the Golden Gala. If you didn't know, and if you're in the Kansas City area, we are hosting my social club, our 1 year anniversary. I'm so excited. But we have like little goodie bags, and I have been working on getting the bag situated. So I love the little tote bags. I think that they are so convenient. I personally have 3 tote bags. One I got from my friend's cuisine club, and then the 2 other ones I got from the Dear Media. Actually, they're like little conference in Austin, Texas, and so I use them constantly. And sometimes they get dirty, right? Like I'm slinging them around. They're going in the bottom of my pickup. They're being drug on the floor, right? And so I will throw them in the wash and then have to like iron them, stretch them back out. But if one is dirty, because I've gotten into this habit where like one will be dirty and I won't have time to clean it, right? And so then I'm like looking for where am I going to put my billfold? Where am I going to put my chapstick, my sunglasses? And they are the perfect size for my tripod. And whenever I'm hosting events, whenever I'm hosting meetups or whatever, or even with my friends and family, I usually want to take a photo, right? Like something to mark the time, something to be like, oh, like we went and did this. We had fun with this or whatever, right? And so I usually like throw my tripod in the bag, and it's big enough, but the bag is like, your little tote bag is like collapsible, right? It doesn't really have structure in this like cotton bag. So I really, really like it for that aspect because it's inconspicuous and it's not like a huge bag. In the past, like when I've tried to fit the tripod, because it's not very like bulky, but it is about, I don't know, like a foot and a fourth long, and the diameter is like, I don't know, it's like lightweight, it's 6 foot, and it collapses like so good. But if I try to like put it in a little handbag, it doesn't really like work out. It doesn't fit good. So the cotton bag, I love it, absolutely love it. And I always think, I would love to have a bag for the gals. And doing the event, I was like, oh, this will be perfect because it's reusable. So you're able to like have the bag and, use it after the event, throw your own tripod in it, throw your snacks, your whatever. Right. And so I've been looking for, a place to get the cotton bags, and I did finally get one purchased, and they're shipped, and I'm so excited. They arrived. This will be my pit of the week. Okay. I am so embarrassed. So when the delivery person arrives, right? We have like a regular mail person, and then we have, the sporadic delivery drivers. You never know who you're going to get, because like the town I live in is kind of rural. So it is what it is. So I was outside and I wasn't thinking about, delivery drivers. We had already gotten our mail for the day, and I was outside in the back, and Rooster and Rowdy, because it was like a warmer day. And as we go into fall, winter, there's going to be some days where Rooster and Rowdy are not going to be able to play outside as much as, they would if it's a nice summer day, right? And so I try as much as possible, because they love to pester the squirrels, or the squirrels like pester them. And I will have them outside, and they're able to run around, do all their things, but they're in an enclosed, like fenced off area. And so they had been out there for, I don't know, maybe 2 hours, and I was going to bring them inside. It was after work, afternoon. I go outside and I'm like, all right, we're going to run them a little bit. I had their ball. I'm going to like throw the ball for them. And all of a sudden I like notice a vehicle like driving past our house, and I was like, I wonder who that is. 'Cause they were going fairly slow, right? They pulled in the drive, and I'm not sure who it is. It's like unmarked. It's just like some delivery person, right? But I didn't know this. My dogs immediately freeze, look at me. I say, let's go inside. Guess what? These trolls run around the house, and oh my gosh, it was like slow motion. Okay, so I'm like running after them. I'm like, come on, let's go inside. Super annoying, super like, come on, dogs. And I watch Rooster jump up on this woman, and basically he's just excited. Like he's jumps so high. So he's like jumping. And finally, like I catch up to him. I'm like, get inside. And the entire time I'm like, I am so sorry. I didn't see you coming. I just let them out of their enclosure. They like get so hyper when they first get out. And I was like, so embarrassed. Embarrassed is the word. I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, because no delivery driver wants to be ambushed by anybody's dog, right? And they weren't barking. They just like ran. They rushed her because they had just gotten out of their enclosure. We're about to throw the ball. They're so hyped, and it was just like a perfect storm. And I go up, I'm like, I'm so sorry. And she has the cutest like little Royals t-shirt on and Royals earrings. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. and that's all you can say, really. I put them in the house. She's like, oh, it's no big deal. I have a black lab, it's very similar. I was like, oh gosh, like it doesn't make you feel good to not have like a good recall on your dogs. And it's because someone like came in the driveway, right? And I try not to like beat myself up about it, but I'm like, oh my gosh, like I wish I would have done like a little bit more training, was a little bit better. But as soon as I like walked up to him, Rowdy had already headed to the front door and was waiting, and then Rooster followed after. But I was like, you're kidding me. But the delivery person had my package for the little tote bags, and I'm really excited. And I was trying to figure out on how to get them like embroidered or what we were going to do in that aspect, because everywhere I looked, like shipping dates were like way far off, and I wanted to make sure that I got them. I wanted to make sure I was able to like get it complete, do the thing. And so I was thinking about either getting it embroidered somewhere, but embroidery machines and like people who embroider is few and far between. Like I have searched everywhere for someone to embroider things, and the girl who did like our little retreat shirts, I wasn't able to, like, she doesn't have an embroidery machine still. Like she's like, yeah, it's on the list. I'm like, as soon as you get it, I will be your like number one customer. Right. And I did a quick Google search just to see how much a little embroidery machine is. They're like $5,000. I did not realize that they were that much. I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. I can see why people wouldn't want an embroidery machine, but I did find heat transfers. So they're going to be able to like say this cute little saying, adulthood does not, or it's girlhood doesn't end at adulthood, because that's my motto for the Golden Gal Network. Like we are adults. Yeah, sure. We might not have school. We might not do all of the things that we used to as kids, but we still can have fun. We can still celebrate girlhood in so many aspects, right? Had to get a little drink. But we still want to have fun. We want to balance careers and have passions or children or like any of those things. But we also want connection and community. And I found that like having little meetups or doing little things with my friends is so nice. And it just gives me separation from the day-to-day. It gives me separation from, like my spouse or my family, or it just like outside perspective. And I'm so grateful for the Golden Gal Network. So if you're in the Kansas City area or surrounding area and you're looking for friends, come join our network. You can find anything and everything on LoganLeeMiller.com. I was so happy when we were able to get the website up and running, but that definitely was my peak of the week, getting the little tote bags, and they have like the transfer on them with the vinyl, and they look so cute, so cute. But we had to have 50 of them because there's 50 attendants, and it just makes my heart so happy and so excited to be like hosting this event, right? But yeah, the dogs embarrassed me. Something awful. But speaking of separation and like having time away from your spouse, as you guys know from last week's episode, it is hunting season. So hunting season means Garrett is out of the house. He is normally in the stand, and we have had like quite a whirlwind of a week. So we celebrated our 4th anniversary on Thursday, which did cut into his going out and hunting time, right? So we had that on Thursday. Friday, we had a viewing, and then Saturday we had the Bergfest, like the little celebration in our in the town that we live close by to. And so it was like busy, and I got Tuesday night and not Wednesday. Was it? Yeah, Tuesday and Wednesday No, not Wednesday. I forgot. I taught a yoga class in Kansas City on Wednesday. So Tuesday was like the only day I got to myself. But I really did all out on Tuesday. I cooked, well, I also have to cook Garrett's supper too, but I cooked some chicken parmesan with, pasta and homemade sourdough, cheesy bread. So good, guys. And since the week prior, I was doing all sorts of like canning. Our kitchen is clean, like everything is done. And it was so nice to just be able to like sit on Tuesday. I did finish episode 7.5. I only got through half of season 7. I don't know what it is of the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. Like I said, I'm savoring it, baby. Little pieces. And while I was like filling in for some of these like other times, I am 2 episodes away from finishing the entire season of Gilmore Girls. This will be my first time completing the series. I started it last year. And honestly, the last couple seasons are like horrible. I hate some of the things that they've made the characters do. And it's honestly going to be really, really sad. Like I started the second to last episode on that while I was like getting ready. And I was like, this is so sad. But anyways, I have been spending nights, only a few, I don't know what it is, but October has just been so busy so far, and like we still have things to do. Like my sister-in-law's bridal shower is next weekend, so we'll have like family down for that. And then the following week, I guess it's like November or Halloween. I'm sorry, it's Halloween, and then the following is November, which I don't want to wish away October at all. Like I don't want to do that, but it's like, oh my gosh, one thing after another. And having the time like where Garrett is able to like go outside, go in the deer stand, enjoy his hobby, just allows me to like also enjoy my hobby, which is watching reality TV. And I've been working on my little t-shirt quilt, which has been so much fun, and just like practicing some of those like slower hobbies, because like I said, I need to be off my phone just a little bit because a girl can be spiraling. But Thursday, our 4th anniversary, was so fun, so good. We ended up going to a couple different restaurants in Kansas City. My favorite, what the heck was it called? It's like green. I cannot even remember it right now, which is so sad because it was my top number 1 favorite. Clay and Fire. Oh my gosh, Clay and Fire. It was so good in Kansas City. I definitely enjoyed that. And then we ended up painting mugs at this little pottery shop, which I absolutely loved. I shared it on Instagram. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, it's Logan Lee Miller. But yeah, I posted our cute little mugs. I should be able to pick them up actually like very soon. They said it would take a week for them to like actually fire it. So I'm looking forward to like bringing them home. But as we were like walking through, Garrett was looking at the ceramics and he's like, well, what about this figurine? Or how about we do plates? And I'm like, no, we literally do not have a place to store these things. And fall is, to me, the equivalent of like spring, right? Like spring cleaning, fall cleaning. We are getting the house in tip-top shape, going into winter. And I think when you're starting to like declutter and make sure your house is the way you want it, because Christmas is going to roll around and people are going to ask you like, what do you have? What do you want? And just like try to fill your house. And even like spouse gifts, like buying something for Garrett, when we're able to like go through our house or go through the clothes, I'm like, oh, like you could really use some t-shirts. I could really use some socks, because my socks, I don't know if we can wait till Christmas. Isn't that like such a like mom thing? Oh my gosh, like, oh, you're out of toothpaste, let me just like wait till Christmas and you'll get some in your stocking, right? No, I need to honestly buy socks probably next week. But it's nice to just like do a little spring cleaning, to clean out everything, and to make the adjustments, because I find like the feeling of stressed or like overwhelmed of not having enough days right now, I know it's going to multiply like crazy come November, come December. Like we're nowhere near the crest. Okay. We're still rising for all the holiday madness. And I know that I have to like take care of myself now and do the things in preparation for that. So it's not like utter chaos. So I'm, doing that, taking care of household things, or if we've been storing things for a really long time, like in our closets, underneath the bed is honestly like such a strong culprit, because I was vacuuming, and that's another thing, another little house project, because I have several house projects I want to finish before the new year. And one of the house projects is to get our carpet professionally cleaned. My dad just had this done like a month ago, and he wasn't able to like be there when the cleaner guys came. So I stopped by, let them into the house, and my dad had written a check and signed it or whatever. I was just supposed to fill it out, and it was way more affordable than I ever thought it was. And we just have 2 rooms that have carpet in it. My office was originally supposed to have carpet, but I wanted hardwood because I felt like this is my crafting room. I was going to have lots of things in this room, and I wanted to be able to vacuum it easier. But the bedroom and the spare bedroom have carpet, and Rooster and Rowdy love to like chase each other underneath the bed. So they'll like go in a circle, a little loop, like under the bed, around, and they'll just chase each other, right? Blue heelers shed so much, and there's constantly piles and piles of hair, which is fine. I signed up for it. I have a nice little Dyson that can, pick it up. But as I was like vacuuming under the bed, I realized that not only did I have like my big suitcase and my small suitcase, I forgot that I put 2 spare bags underneath our bed. Garrett had a suitcase. He had what's it called? Men take them to work. Not a lot. I want to say a briefcase. He had like a briefcase that he hasn't even used in so long underneath the bed. And like, there was a couple other miscellaneous things. So I was like, why is this under the bed? And I think I've heard somewhere where storing things under your bed is like bad feng shui or whatever. So I am very concerned, okay, and want to clean it out immediately. Our spare bedroom also just like has stacks and stacks of like books or old things. And I know it's still only October, but I was hanging up a couple of like our winter, like heavy duty clothing inside the closet. And when I opened it up to put like those things in it, I noticed that like the stuff has grown, and our Christmas tree is stored in this closet. And I was just thinking, oh my gosh, like we have to pull the Christmas tree out in a month and a half, honestly and truly. Like we are, if we're thinking like after Thanksgiving, we are a month and a half away from Thanksgiving. And so maybe a little bit more. I don't know. But just thinking to myself, like, we're going to have to move the Christmas tree out of here. And then, you stack things on a box, and then they're all stacked up, and then they all fall. And I'm just like, how can we avoid all of this? Right now, I have a little bit of time. Right now, I have a little bit of space, especially because like Garrett is out of the house, and we still have had like fairly nice weather. It's not like too bad, but it's enough like Rooster and Rowdy can go outside to their enclosure, and I'm able to like work on those things because they hate the vacuum, so they'll like try and bark and bite it. So I have to do like a lot of cleaning when they're like outside, and I feel like I need to clean more often in the wintertime because like they're going outside, Garrett's going out, I'm going outside, we're tracking in more mud, snow, like dirty, all the things. And I'm like, oh gosh, like I'll have to lock them in the bedroom, and then they might run around in the bedroom because it's carpet and they have traction. In comparison to like the hallway, it's regular wood, right? So I'm thinking of all these house projects and everything that I need to be getting done before the actual like big holidays hit for our family. Hey, I hope that you're enjoying today's podcast episode. Just a quick interruption to let you know that the Golden Hour Drip podcast has a monthly newsletter. You'll find podcast updates, upcoming events and information, and bonus content. If you haven't already, click the link in the show notes and join today. Now, back to the show. And I love the holidays. Like, I want to prepare. I want to do all the things, but I want it to be fun. I want it to be easy. I don't want it to have to be like this big, huge ordeal when I might have like other things planned, or I find that I always have like this grand plan to do more holiday events or go to like more craft shows, or even at Union Station in Kansas City, like they have so many really, really fun events. I haven't seen the Nutcracker ever live performance. I would love to see that. And so to me, I'm constantly in this thought of how can I prepare now so that when I get to the future, it's even better, and just like building upon this like higher self or this like higher timeline of, hey, like what can be done so that we can be our best self when November rolls around, when December rolls around, because my family is like so separated, right? Like we live in different states or different towns, and we have to like drive to each other, and travel time always like cuts into visiting time, and we still have all the same obligations of like work and play and hobbies, and then like separate families. So I have like my mother and father-in-law, and like my husband's family, and then I have like my dad's family, and then my mom and stepdad's family. So to me, it's just like, okay, October is the planning period. October is the time to make sure we're executing, making sure we're getting things done, and not so caught up in like the lull of fall, which I do love fall. But for me, I'm just like always looking for the next level. And for me, like New Year's Eve is one of those times where I love New Year's Eve, and I want to go full force and just make sure I am setting myself up perfectly. And I truly believe that you're like, there's no time like the present, right? Like we don't have to wait for a new year to have like great goals or to be achieving things, right? And so for me, I'm just thinking, okay, to make New Year's Eve go easier, because I am so goal mindset and growth oriented, I'm always thinking about how I can improve and what I can do better. And taking care of my environment is like super, super helpful for that. I also find that tuning out the noise like on my cell phone is really, really helpful. And as you guys know, at 6:30 when it hits, I'm putting away my iPad, I'm putting away my computer, I'm putting away my cell phone, and I am fully just focused on either a hobby or a craft or even a movie. I know in the past, like when I was a kid, my parents were like, oh, gotta limit the TV time. But for me, it's like limiting screen time and building back like a longer attention span and being able to focus on something for a longer time period. And a movie sometimes is that, where I'm focused on something for a longer amount of time, and I'm like not scrolling on my phone as well, right? And so the other evening, it was a night that Garrett and I were both together. We decided we were going to watch Unfrosted. I don't know if you've ever seen this movie. It's on Netflix. It actually has a lot of cameos in it, like quite a few famous actors in it. And as I was watching it, I was like, oh my gosh, like how it's kind of like a comedy, right? And so as I'm watching it, obviously there's like quips, and it's based in the 60s. And so sometimes they're like having little, like not an inside joke, obviously, because the audience is supposed to get it, but it was like a subtle comedy. It was really good. But as I was watching it, if you've never seen Unfrosted, it's about two businesses, Kellogg's and Post. Okay, two cereal companies. And as I was watching it, I was trying to think like, oh, like what cereal brands do I like know? Like what categorizing? I'm like, okay, like what does Post have? Or what does Kellogg's have? Like I know Special K is Kellogg's. I know that what is it? Frosted Flakes or Frosted Flakes with Tony the Tiger, right? Isn't that the same? That's also Kellogg. And as I was like trying to decipher it, I was like, man, I really do not know my cereals anymore. But as I was watching it, if you've never seen it, they're in a town and both of the buildings are like facing the other one. And during the movie or whatever, the whole big thing was who was going to launch, as we know now, of Pop-Tarts. Okay. And they had been cereal for so long, and cereal needs milk. And there was a gross part of like kids eating discarded product from a dumpster. And I was like, oh, like that's a little far. That's a little gross. But they were essentially like having these little a pastry war. Okay. So they called it like goo or something. And that is an accurate description of what's in a Pop-Tart, right? Like it's the fruit jelly in a Pop-Tart. And so they were going back and forth, and they would like spy on each other. So they either had binoculars where they were looking through the window at the other person and like what they were doing, and if they were having discussions, but they also sent spies into the other's like location. So Post had sent to Kellogg sent to Post a janitor who had a camera in his mop. And so he would be like mopping, and the camera on it would like capture the meeting and the audience. And while they were like reviewing this information, they noticed someone was like, I want to say vacuuming, and they're like, can you vacuum another time? But that guy also had like a video camera. He's like, yeah, I can, right? And so some of the comedy was like on the nose, right? But these two companies were so focused on like what the other one was doing. And in the plot, okay, so Kellogg's is the one, that's the POV, that's where the story is like being told by, right? And so Kellogg's had research on a jelly-filled something, and they were trying to make a shelf-stable breakfast food that didn't need milk. So it was like an addition to the breakfast community. It was supposed to be revolutionary, and they had a bunch of research. And Post stole the research, and Post was going to make the Pop-Tart, what we know as a Pop-Tart, faster, quicker. They were going to have it before the other one had it, right? And so they were starting on they ended up naming it Country Squares, and they were working on it, and they were doing testing. They were doing all the things. They were working so hard on trying to get it together, right? And Kellogg's found out that they actually took the research, applied it, and did something that was like similar to what they were wanting. And so then Kellogg's is like, we got to get back on this research. And so they got the partner who was back on the research, which is Melissa McCarthy. And that's kind of why like I went to watch Unfrosted, because I'm near the end of Gilmore Girls, and I just love Melissa in that realm, in that storyline. I also love her in her other movies and things, but that's kind of like what started it. I was like, oh, like she's in this, like I want to see her in this. And so I was watching it, but she was like the partner to all the research. And so they get a crew together, they're working on it, and they end up releasing they were gonna call it like trap something, I don't know, but basically Trap Pop or something, and then the news person read it wrong and it was Pop Tart. And they're like, we don't really care what the name is, just get it out there. All of America just saw it on the advertisement, so get it out there. That's what it is. We're gonna launch. And at the same day, the same time, Country Squares from Post launched too. So we have these two Pop Tarts, okay, little pie filled goodies. And they're talking about who's going to sell out, what product is going to be liked. And they end up like, the kids love Pop-Tarts because it's way more trendy. Who would want to be a country square? Like in this society, who would want to be a square? Heck no, that means you're a loser, essentially, right? And from the country, heck no. So Pop-Tart won. And as I'm watching it, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, if Post one, like they were both spying on each other. Okay. Kellogg's was always worried about what Post was doing. Post was always worried what Kellogg's was doing. And Post ended up like stealing the stuff. They weren't focused on their own research or their own progress on their own cereal. Instead, they like stole something from Kellogg's. Kellogg's was working on the Pop-Tart. And if they would have just stayed in their own lane, or if they would have tried to make something else, they could have been successful in their own right. And there's a couple different ways to look at this. One is when you compare yourself to someone company, business, personality, Instagram, social media, any of those things, it can be so hard because you pigeonhole yourself and you're like, oh, I'm not stacking up in this area. I'm not stacking up in this area. I wish I was better. Wish I was doing this. But when it boils down to okay, like you are an individual and it doesn't matter what someone else is doing. You know what is going to be right for your company or your business or what you want, right? And while I think competition is healthy and good, like I love competition. I love being able to like push yourself and to try harder and like to do those things. I also think there's something to be said on putting the blinders on and just like running with what you have, because Kellogg's lost opportunity by fumbling their research. Okay. And how many times do you have something that's put on your heart or that you want to do and you're like, oh, like it's not ready yet. Oh, I'm going to put it in my notebook. I'm going to schedule it for next year. Maybe next month or when I'm not busy or when I have more money or like any of those things, right? Like you push it off. And that's what Kellogg's did. They pushed off the creation of a Pop-Tart. And while I think that Post did good, they were like, oh, like an innovation, we want to work on it. We want to do it. They did it in a way that was like stealing, right? Like they were trying to steal an idea that was not meant for them. It wasn't meant for their trajectory. It was not meant for their journey. And sometimes we're going to have things put on us that are just for us. Like other people are not going to understand. They are not going to know the path that you're on, and they aren't going to get it right. And instead of like getting so caught up on like what other people are doing, like, oh my gosh, like I want to do that too. Oh my gosh, like I have to do it so quicker or whatever. Like, yes, sometimes you have to launch before you're ready. And I love that Kellogg's did that. Like the name was wrong. And instead of spending like a whole bunch of marketing dollars trying to fix it and be like, oh, actually, like we meant it was trad, whatever. Like, and I forget, it was Pop-Tart, but backwards. So Pop-Tart, Trat Pop, I don't know. But instead of like focusing on that it wasn't exactly perfect, they rolled with it because they knew that their product was good. So I know this like movie was just about like the cereal company, right? But I took it so much deeper of comparison, not comparing yourself to the competition, because you have like your own unique ability to like bring forth to the table something truly powerful and amazing. And when I think of like the cereal aisle or like cereal products, I'm thinking like cereal bars. When I was in high school, we had a vending machine, and the vending machine had like Sun Chips. It had I think it did have Pop-Tarts. It had gum in it. But one of the best sellers is the cereal bar with like yogurt coating on it or whatever, right? Like it's a bar and it's like dipped in yogurt or like some sort of whatever. And these were like also like marshmallowy a little bit. I know you know what I'm talking about. And these were like the bestseller. Everyone wanted to buy these from the vending machine. So if you're taking it, and I know this was like a fabricated movie, but if you take it in the perspective of Post, instead of trying to steal from your competition, instead of, copying them or like being schemy or slimy, like I definitely think we can take inspiration from others. But if they were able to just like focus on their own invention, like they could have invented the cereal bar. And that's where I do think competition is good, because it's like fueling one another to like go after their dreams and like try for a product, try for a thing. But if you are comparing yourself or wishing for something someone else has, you're missing out on what's meant for you. So if it is the cereal bar, or I don't know, there's like a trillion million products that they could be making or pivoting or whatever. But like a Pop-Tart is so removed from cereal that you would think like, yes, it's innovative. Yes, it's like a new sector. But there is probably so many different things that they could have been doing instead, right? So many different things. And as I'm just like thinking about myself and like the comparison that I have, where I'm looking on social media and I'm like, oh gosh, like they just bought a new home. Like, beautiful, stunning. I'm jealous. I love their home. I think it's so great. Or someone pops up on LinkedIn or social media. It's like, got a promotion, like doing so great. And I think, oh gosh, like good for them. I wish I had a promotion. Like we sometimes put ourselves in a box where we think we're not good enough, or we think that we don't have what it takes, or everybody else is getting the good dreams. Everyone is progressing and doing those things. And sometimes it's because we're being held back for something greater, or we're being, prepared for something different. And we're all going to have our own journeys. We're all going to have like our own path, and it's going to look different from other people. I try to compare it to, okay, someone might be in their winning season, right? Like if I'm looking at someone on social media and I'm thinking, oh, they're doing so great, they're doing so well. We usually only post the highlight reel. We're only posting the good. I know some creators post like some of the nitty gritty, some of the struggles, some of the hardship, right? And that's great. I love that. But mostly, if we think about our intermediate community, if we think about like our maybe two from our community out, if you will, like a linked chain, I'm still in the LinkedIn grind, right? Like, you have like your first, your second, and your third connections. And third connections, like you don't even know them. You know no one who knows them. Second is like, we share the same friend, whatever. Even when we look out past like a friend of a friend on social media, or even a friend that we used to have in college or used to have in high school, and when we're seeing their winning reel, we're seeing all the things that they're doing amazing. We see that they are, in our eyes, successful. But we're not seeing all the other things. We're not seeing the struggle that they had to go through. We're not seeing what they had to overcome, what mindset barriers they had, or their slump season, right? Because we usually don't post about that. We're not posting about like, oh gosh, I got fired from my job and my boyfriend left me and, my dog died. Like we're not usually posting about that. And if you do, like that's your thing, that's great. But normally people don't want to like talk about the bad. Especially if we have nosy family members or frenemies that aren't really our friends, which you should absolutely unfollow them and block them, because, evil eye, people seeing that you're doing well and wishing you bad. Like, I hate that. No way, Jose. But just like protecting your peace a little bit. I actually had this thought when I was folding laundry. I was like, gosh, like just kind of like in this cycle of comparison and thinking, oh my gosh, like I love Instagram and Facebook. Like I don't have Facebook on my phone. Like I don't have the app. If I want to go on Facebook for anything, which is usually every once in a while, I want to get on Marketplace because there's something secondhand that I want to purchase. I'm thinking in my head like, oh, it'd be so cool if I had this, or I'm looking for this one specific piece and I'm not finding it in the thrift stores. I'll try sometimes to like do it on Marketplace, right? But I'm not normally on Facebook. And whenever I like have the tab open for Facebook where I was looking for something on Marketplace, I'm scrolling. Like Facebook for me is almost worse than TikTok, because TikTok, I'm not judging anybody at all. Like not good, not bad. Yes, I like a video or like I'll repost it and scroll past like if I don't like it, but usually I'm not connected to any of these people. And it's not like personal achievement oriented. Like TikTok is just anything and everything. And so when I'm thinking about it in that aspect, it's like, oh, I can cheer for this person because I cheer for people too that I know as well. But on Facebook, I have it where it's like, oh my gosh, like, did you see Sally from high school? She's doing this. Like it's that judgment in your head almost. And I just like hate to scroll the app. I don't post on the app. And so I was thinking to myself like, how bad would it be if I just deleted my Facebook profile? Like what connection? Like I don't use it on a day-to-day basis. It's not something that I like pull up regularly, whatever. And so what's the point of me having a profile? And then I thought, like Snapchat, I haven't had Snapchat on my phone for so long as well. Why do I have a profile? Or like previous post, like every once in a while I'm on Facebook, it'll pop up a post from like when I was 11 and it'll say something stupid and it's usually like misspelled. At the time, like, you have the slider phone. And so you like text it like super like Y2K. And I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this needs to be scrubbed from the internet. Like this is embarrassing grammar and all the things, right? And then I was even thinking like one step further. So many people have their Instagrams private and I don't have my personal Instagram private. I don't have my Golden Gal Network private. And essentially like I want to be a connector. I want to be someone that people can go to and talk and hang out. But when I think about like my personal page, I'm almost to the point where I don't even really post on it either. Like where I am using my energy is on my podcast. It's on YouTube and it's on TikTok sometimes, but mostly it's like my Golden Gal Network. Like that's where I'm posting. That's where I'm like having friends. But even separated from that, a lot of my connections are in real life where I'm talking to people and I'm connecting to people. And I'm thinking back to a time where like I didn't have social media, which would be like 8 years old, right? Like 10. And I'm thinking back to like when I didn't really have social media and there wasn't like that comparison. Yeah, like I could compare myself to a girl in my class, but it didn't like carry on. And now my phone can be with me constantly. I mean, I think it's right here, right? Like it never leaves my side. And I think about that and I think about like how notifications and social media and it never really leaves you. And you have to be so diligent in your comparison mindset and just like putting a stop to it and thinking, okay, like I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole. I'm not going to be so obsessed with someone else, right? And we've all done it before. Even if it's like a quick thought of, hey, like she has something I don't have or they have something I want. I just find that it takes away from what I'm supposed to be doing. It takes away from like my mindset. It takes away from my way of thinking where it's like, oh, I could be focused on this thing. I could be doing this thing. But instead, I just spent 20, 30, an hour on TikTok. And I could have been like rearranging my house. I could be clearing out underneath our bed, or even working on my own mindset where it's like positive and it's not this doom scroll of like, oh, like her life is so much better than mine or whatever. And I know this, like it comes and flows, ebbs and flows. And right now you might be thinking, oh, nope, I'm good on the comparison. But I find for myself, like there's times where like my confidence is much higher than other times where I feel really, really good, or like I will go into this mindset of like, oh gosh, like I wish I was on the same trajectory, or I see what they have and I'd like something as well. And it's not like comparison and competition to me are like two separate things. Comparison is like, what do I lack? Competition is like, how can I be better? But I never tried to compete with someone else. I'm instead trying to compete with past me, or a past mindset that I had, a past hobby, and like what I'm working to like do better. But a comparison, I don't know why, but sometimes in my head, it's like a negative connotation. It's like, okay, compare and despair. And competition, it's like, how can I be better? And like, where is my benchmark from who I was last week, last month, last year, and who will I be tomorrow in that aspect. So, but yeah, Unfrosted, I can't believe that like I went on such a just comparison mindset of, gosh, like I wish they were just able to like work on their own things. And of course, like competition does breed like a better product because two people are like trying to be the best. And so they're continuously improving. I get that. But so like sometimes you will post definitely gave away some of their integrity to try and like market their country squares, and it wasn't meant for them. So they did it wrong, right? Like it wasn't as good. And because it was meant for Kellogg's, it was their original plan, original brand, all the things. They had more skin in the game, and, you know, Pop-Tarts came up. And of course, Unfrosted is a fabricated, maybe it's like loosely based on events. Okay, I get that, whatever. But it was a good little watch. Okay. And I felt like my mindset and my focus was good throughout the entire film, and I finished it. But as we're going into like this fall and winter season, I'm waiting for things to like release and drop. I know Wicked. What is Wicked's release date? Because it is coming up, and I've noticed like more people like posting about it. The release date is November 22nd. And I think there's two movies, and one of the movies is not being released until a year after. But November 22nd is around the corner. But of course, like you watch it and then what? So I'm definitely looking for some sort of winter show, especially because I'm finishing up Gilmore Girls. So if you have something that you love to watch, I do like watching movies, especially if they're like 2000s or 2010, that era. So good. Can watch those anytime. I think 2 days ago I was watching Ella Enchanted as I, clean the floors, whatever. Love Ella Enchanted. But just like having something to watch, especially because I'm trying to finish this quilt. I'm trying to get some crafts done. I actually think I might do a little Golden Gal meetup of like soups and sews, but you can sew anything. You can bring like your quilts, or you can bring cross stitch, or like I said previously, I really want to get into knitting. And so I'm trying to make it like more fun and more connective, and just like having more friends over. And like maybe soups and sews is a little too formal, but just like having someone bring like the soup to the gathering, I want it to be more chill. Okay, I just want it to be like impromptu. This might be just like a little planning, but to where it's like community at any time. A couple episodes ago, I think like 3 or 4 episodes ago, I talked about like having that convenient friend, someone to stop by any time. Like I want to have a convenient house. I want it to be so easy for people to stop by, bring their sewing project, or, my house is clean and I do have snacks in my fridge, like all of those things. But yeah, thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. If you are comparing and despairing, just know that you are exactly where you're meant to be, and everything that is meant for you is going to come your way. It doesn't matter what your competition or peer or, someone you work with or anybody is doing. You're on the right track. You're not behind. I have to remind myself of that constantly. Like, you are not behind. You are doing everything you should be in the time that it takes to do it, right? So if you haven't already, make sure you rate, review, subscribe, all of the things for the podcast. It helps us more than you know. And if you like the audio version, we're on YouTube. And if you're on YouTube, hey, you can take us on the go. When you're driving in the car, you can put it on audio. You don't have to worry about the visual. And also, if you don't have like YouTube Premium or whatever, you can't like shut your phone while the episode is playing. So if you want to get around that, you listen to the audio version on Apple Music, Spotify. I think we're on Stitcher, all the things. So that is it for this week. I will see you next Monday. Bye.